friends. Welcome to Nerdy Bitz. Too long, didn't listen. TLDL. I'm your host, the Reverend Tracy, and this is where we take one study, one concept, or one piece of psychology and break it down so you get the nerdy good stuff without the textbook feeling. So in our episode, The Illusion of Parasocial Relationships, we teased the idea of doing a full episode on what we would have called the illusion of social media. And the more we looked into it, the more we realized something. We don't actually need a full episode to answer the core question, because on the part that matters most, the research is already pretty clear. So instead of stretching it out, we're going to do what Nerdy Bitz does best. We're going to take that core idea and just deal with it directly. And the question I wanted to answer today is this: is social media actually social? Like on a brain level, a health level, a loneliness level, does it count? And the short answer is, drum roll please, your brain does not count it the way you think it does. And the reason comes down to something simple. Your brain treats in-person connection and digital interaction as completely different things. And we got one of the clearest looks at that during COVID. When lockdowns hit in 2020 and in-person contact dropped almost overnight, researchers realized something pretty big. We were actually running a massive real-world experiment. What happens when you replace face-to-face connection with online interaction? And the answer came out pretty clear pretty fast. It didn't replace it. Large-scale data out of the UK showed that even when people increased their online social contact, it did not compensate for the loss of in-person interactions. And for young adults who increased social media use the most, mental health outcomes actually became worse, not better. They weren't disconnected. They were constantly online, and it still didn't meet the need. So what's missing? Why doesn't it count? Psychologist Susan Pinker spent years digging into this, drawing on social neuroscience research, and what she found is that face-to-face interaction is associated with biological responses that screens just don't and can't fully replicate. When you're physically with someone you're connected to, that interaction is associated with oxytocin release, stress regulation, and other physiological responses. Your brain is reading everything: facial expressions, tone, timing, and body language. And your nervous system is literally syncing with the person in front of you. That's not meant to be poetic. That's biological. And a text message just can't do that. A like just can't do that. Even a video call only gets a fraction of it, albeit better. But the bandwidth just isn't the same. And this leads to a second problem, what I'm going to call the number problem. Social media gives you scale, but your brain needs depth. You can have hundreds of followers, constant interaction, notifications all day, and still feel completely alone. Because what actually predicts loneliness isn't how many people you're connected with. It's how known you are by the people closest to you. Social media is very good at giving you the appearance of connection. It is not designed to build deep, mutual, fully known relationships. And in a lot of cases, it quietly pulls time and energy away from the kinds of relationships that actually meet that need. And then there's one more layer to this: the comparison trap. Back in the 1950s, psychologist Leon Festinger showed that humans naturally evaluate their lives by comparing themselves to others. Sound familiar? Checking in with the neighbors, right? And that's normal. We've always done it. But historically, you compared yourself to people you actually knew. The Johnsons in my little example I was giving, you knew the people next door to you. So it was people whose lives you fully saw. Social media changes that, though, because now you're comparing your internal day-to-day reality to a curated highlight reel from hundreds or thousands of people depending on your feed. And your brain doesn't automatically flag that as incomplete information. It just registers, hey, their life looks better than mine. And this is where it gets really important, because passive use, just scrolling, just watching, has been consistently associated with higher levels of depression and loneliness. You're taking in social information without receiving actual social connection. So it's almost like you're smelling food, but you're not eating. And your brain doesn't say, this isn't real. It just says, I'm still hungry. So what do you do with that information, right? Like, I'm not here to tell you to delete your apps. I'm not saying to stop listening to your favorite podcasts. That's not the point. Social media can be useful, as we mentioned in the main episode. It can help you stay connected across distance. It can even help you find a community to go physically interact with. And it can complement real relationships, but it is not a substitute for being known. It is not a substitute for sitting across from someone and being seen in real time. For your nervous system settling because someone else is there with you. For the kind of connection your body actually recognizes as connection. You know, the kind of food your body would recognize as food, not just smelling it or looking at pictures. And the research is pretty blunt about this. Neglecting close in-person relationships isn't just emotionally hard. It's associated with increased health risks comparable to other major risk factors. So no, social media isn't exactly fake. It's just incomplete, and your brain does know the difference even when you don't. So maybe the takeaway is simple. Call someone. Sit with someone. Let your nervous system do what it was designed to do, what it's hungry to do. And that's your nerdy bits. Your brain already knew it. Now you do too.
Subscribe to Friends Talking Nerdy
on YouTube Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify,
or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Bye-bye, friends.